When Denzel Washington walked into the room during Trump's speech, the shift in energy was instant. Trump paused, narrowed his eyes, and barked to security, "Get him out." But before they could even reach him, Denzel had already spoken. Just 20 seconds, and the room was no longer the same. It was supposed to be just another rally at the K. Bailey Hutcherson Convention Center in Dallas. Trump was the headliner as usual, and everything had been set for a typical spectacle. The ballroom packed out early, standing room only. The expectation that Trump would own the night. Backstage, security had quietly doubled. The lights dimmed, Trump was introduced, and he made his slow, familiar entrance, wearing that trademark grin. The crowd roared, though not all clapped. Then, from the edge of the press section, a figure emerged. Dark blazer, poised, measured steps. The air shifted. It took a few seconds for the audience to register who he was. Denzel Washington. The Oscar winner, the activist, the man whose voice could fill a room without raising it. No one expected to see him there, let alone walking in solo during a live Trump address. Trump clocked him instantly. His voice faltered mid-sentence. "Wait, what's going on?" he asked into the mic, trying to keep his cool. Did someone seriously let him in? The crowd buzzed. Phones shot up. Security turned, but Denzel, he didn't flinch. He walked calmly down the side aisle, not rushing, not grandstanding, just moving with purpose. One man shouted, "You don't belong here." Trump turned to the crew off stage. "Handle that," he snapped. 2 security agents moved. Denzel held up a hand, not in defiance, but in clarity. "Just give me 60 seconds, he said, voice calm but firm. "Then I'll leave." The room stilled. Even the air seemed to pause. Trump hesitated. Something about Denzel's tone, so grounded, so deliberate, made people stop. The guards kept walking. The crowd was caught between curiosity and confusion. "I was invited," Denzel said, his voice carrying without force, "by Representative Noah Harrove. He couldn't make it, so I came in his place." Then turning slightly toward Trump, he added, "You say this country needs dialogue, so let me offer mine." The guards slowed. Even they weren't sure what to do. Trump looked at the crowd, then back at Denzel. "This ain't your show," Trump said into the mic, trying to laugh it off. "You want a minute? Start a podcast." Some in the crowd chuckled, but Denzel stayed steady. "I'm not here to perform," he said. "I'm here because this country isn't just for those who clap the loudest. It belongs to all of us, even when we disagree." That landed. Trump stepped back from the podium, visibly annoyed. "Nope, not doing this," he muttered off. "Mike, just get him out." One of the guards stepped forward again. Then a voice rang out from the front row. An older woman standing now. "Let him speak." Another voice followed. "Yeah, let him talk." It wasn't a wave, but it was enough. The room shifted. Phones were everywhere. The moment had left the script. Trump grimaced, then threw a hand toward the mic in frustration. "Fine, sure, bye," he said. 60 seconds. Say something brilliant. He moved aside. The guard stopped. Denzel didn't rush. He walked slowly to the front, but didn't step on the stage. He stopped just below it, turned toward the crowd, hands clasped, eyes steady. "I'm not here to argue policy," he began. "Not today. Because this stopped being about policy a long time ago. This is about people and the way we stop listening the second we hear a name we don't like." He scanned the room. His voice remained calm, but it wrapped around the walls. "I grew up not far from here, South Dallas. Used to ride the DART past this building every day on my way to school. Never thought I'd be standing inside asking just to be heard." Some leaned forward now. The phones lowered slightly. "I'm not here for applause," Marty continued. "I don't need agreement. I just want to remind us we are not enemies. We're Americans. And if the sound of a different voice is enough to threaten the room, then we've already lost a whole lot more than a debate." Silence followed. Not awkward, just still. Heavy with something real. Even Trump didn't interrupt. Denzel gave a quiet nod, stepped back once, and said, "That's all." But the room didn't quite move. The silence remained, not tense, just present. Trump stood at the side, arms folded, watching. And Denzel stayed where he was, just below the stage. Still grounded. Unshaken. Then, slowly, a single clap echoed from the back right corner. Hesitant. One person, then another. Not thunderous, but enough to crack the silence. Trump stepped forward again, cutting through the tension. "All right," he said, trying to reclaim the moment. He said his piece. "That's America, folks, even when you don't want to hear it." His voice carried a mix of sarcasm and unease. but even he could feel the air had shifted. Then someone else stood up. Mid-row, red golf shirt. "Mr. Washington," he called out clearly. "I don't agree with you on much, but you said that better than most people ever could. Respect." Denzel didn't smile. Just gave a quiet nod. Trump blinked. That wasn't the response he expected. He half laughed, turning toward the man. "Well now," he said, "aren't you full of surprises today?" The joke landed flat. The moment was slipping from his hands. Reporters scrambled to upload video. Security eased back into place. Denzel took a step toward the wall, giving space. No one escorted him. No one dared. He found an empty chair near the exit and sat. Calm. Silent. Steady. Still present. But the attention hadn't moved on. Trump adjusted the mic, trying to re-enter himself. "Well," he said, forcing a smile, "I think we have all had our civics lesson for the day. Now, can we get back to actually fixing the country?" Some laughter. Some applause. But the rhythm wasn't the same. And right as Trump began shifting into his talking points, someone called out from the crowd. "Why don't you respond to what he said?" Gasps. Phones shot back into the air. Trump froze. "I don't need to respond," he finally said, voice clipped. "He's got his opinion. I've got mine. And I was the one invited." Then Denzel stood again slowly. No theatrics. No tension. Just presence. He walked calmly toward the side aisle, but instead of heading for the door, he turned back to face the crowd. "I didn't come here for attention," he said, voice low but carried. "But maybe, just maybe, some of y'all came here needing to hear something different. Not better, not perfect, just different." And with that, he left quietly. But the moment didn't stay in that ballroom. By the time Denzel reached the end of the hallway, his phone had buzzed 9 times. Back inside, the panel tried to recover. Trump leaned into his notes hard, but it was like trying to drive on a slick road with the wrong tires. Nothing stuck. What made Denzel's moment land wasn't what he said. It was how he said it. No slogans, no shouting, just plain words. Clear, unshaken. By the end of the summit, talk of the moment had already gone viral. Groups huddled near the escalators, replaying grainy clips on their phones. 2 hours later, the first Twitter video dropped. Low-res, unedited, but real. Within the hour, 20,000 likes. The comments came like a flood. "Didn't expect to agree with Denzel Washington today, but wow. Respect. This is how you change minds. Not with volume, with clarity." By nightfall, cable news picked it up. Not just the usual channels, all of them. One headline read, "Denzel sparks moment of unity in divided room." Another, "Unscripted, unshaken, unapologetically American." Of course, not all of it was praised. Some far-right pundits called it a stunt. Opportunism. But even that didn't stick, because if it had been staged, it would have been louder, cleaner, more dramatic. It wasn't. It felt like a man walking into a room he wasn't supposed to be in, asking for a chance, and using it, without raising his voice. Later that night, back home in Dallas, Denzel sat down with his small team. "I didn't think it would go like that," he admitted. "You didn't expect applause either," his aide replied. "But you got some." "I wasn't looking for applause," Denzel said quietly. "I just wanted them to see a human being. Not a headline. Not an enemy." His press manager, Ruben Sloan, was scrolling through Twitter. "People are calling it a turning point," he said. "Even folks who hate politics are reposting it." Denzel looked up, eyes tired but clear. "That's the sad part," he said. "All I did was ask for 60 seconds without yelling. And that's a headline now." Not long after, something else unexpected. Out near the vendor lot, as Denzel made his way to his car, a small group of attendees crossed his path. He stopped when he heard one of them say his name. "Mr. Washington." He turned to see a man jogging toward him across the parking lot. His steps were unsure, like he wasn't sure this was a good idea until he'd already started. "I just wanted to say, I didn't come here expecting to listen to anyone from your side," the man said. "But I did. And I'm glad I did." Denzel studied him. Steady. Silent. "I run a roofing business down in Temple," the man continued. "Voted red every year since I could. But what you said, it got to me." He extended his hand. Denzel shook it. "You listened," Denzel said. "That's more than most people are willing to do." But not everyone outside that ballroom was in the mood to listen. Inside the private lounge backstage, Trump paced like a storm trapped in a room. He hated being blindsided. "Who the hell cleared him?" he snapped, spinning toward one of his aides. "He wasn't on the list," the aide stammered. We think he used Representative Horov's credentials, sir. Technically, he was a guest. Technically, Trump scoffed. You know who else gets in technically? Hackers. Criminals. He grabbed a water bottle off the table, gesturing wildly. I want names. He paused, eyes narrowing at a small monitor in the corner. A still image of Denzel frozen mid-sentence filled the screen. Calm. Focused. He was too composed, Trump said, almost to himself. You see that? Not even a tremble. That wasn't off the cuff. That was written. Planned. The aide stayed quiet. And the crowd? Trump barked. Some of our people clapped. What the hell was that? They were reacting, sir. No one expected it. Exactly my point. From the corner, Trump's longtime advisor, Wesley Stokes, finally spoke. Look, Wesley said carefully. You didn't lose the room, but you didn't own it either. That moment, it's everywhere now. Nobody's talking policy. They're talking about him. Trump frowned. He's not the future. He's noise. Wesley shrugged. Maybe, but noise travels fast. Trump waved him off, slumping down into a nearby chair. She didn't yell, Wesley said, pushing gently. Didn't insult. Just stood there like she belonged. Played it different. There was a pause. Then Trump leaned forward, elbows on knees. His voice was low. He had the room for a second, he muttered. I'll give him that. Wesley blinked. You respect what he did? Trump didn't answer. He just stared at the screen. I respect strategy, he said finally. Doesn't mean I won't tear it down. Outside, Trump's campaign team scrambled to draft a response. Ignoring it wasn't an option anymore. The clip had already aired on prime time. Meanwhile, Denzel sat alone in his living room. Lights low. His phone lit up nonstop, messages he hadn't opened yet. One voicemail transcription from his mother stood out. You did good, baby. Don't let them twist it. You spoke like a man raised right. He smiled, just faintly. A knock at the door pulled him back. It was Ruben. He stepped in, opened his laptop. We need to talk about the invites, Ruben said. Town Hall in Pennsylvania wants you next week. PBS is asking for a one-on-one. And believe it or not, someone from Fox wants a segment. Denzel didn't answer immediately. I didn't do it for this, he said at last. I just couldn't sit through another one-sided monologue about what real Americans want. Like I'm not one of them. Ruben nodded. And you didn't scream to prove it. That's why it worked. They sat in silence. Do you regret it? Ruben asked. Denzel took a breath. I regret that it felt rare, he said. I regret that speaking the truth quietly is now considered radical. Upstairs, the faint sound of a TV drifted from the guest room. His niece was staying over. On screen, the moment was playing again. A news anchor's voice trailed through the hallway. Unusual, calm, a rare political moment that left the crowd, and even the former president, without a quick comeback. Somewhere in D.C., a campaign manager scribbled notes for a new ad. Somewhere in Florida, a donor quietly pulled funding. And in war rooms across both aisles, one question floated. If 60 seconds could shift a room like that, what would 5 do? But while political strategists dissected the moment, Denzel had already moved beyond it. 2 mornings later, he sat tucked into the corner of a small cafe in Oak Cliff, hoping for a quiet hour. But quiet doesn't last long once the country decides you've become something symbolic. A barista recognized him first. Then a young woman in scrubs came in, hesitated, and finally walked over to his table. Are you? She started. Denzel looked up. I am, Denzel asked, lifting his eyes. The young woman smiled. I watched your clip 3 times yesterday, she said. My dad's a trucker. Voted for Trump every time. But when he heard what you said, he got real quiet. She placed a small folded note on the table. He doesn't do social media, she said. So he asked me to write something down for you. Then she walked off. Denzel opened the paper. Just a few words. I don't agree with you, but I listened. That's more than I can say for most. Later that afternoon, Denzel sat down for a local interview. The journalist, Shelby Dunn, had been covering Texas politics for over 2 decades. I've seen a lot of moments, she said. But I've never seen a room stop like it did for you. Denzel paused before responding. I wasn't trying to stop anything, he said. I just wanted to show up and say something I never hear at events like that. That it's okay to disagree without assuming somebody hates the country. Shelby studied him. You were aware of the risk. Denzel nodded, looked away for a second. Yeah, but scared. He shook his head. No, I've been in far smaller rooms with far louder men. Then, with a quiet smile, What scared me more was what it would mean if I stayed silent. Shelby leaned in. Do you think the reaction would have been the same if you'd shouted? No, Denzel said without hesitation. That room wasn't built for my anger. If I'd come in swinging, they would have tuned me out before I even said hello. He let that sit a second. But when I didn't raise my voice, they had to choose. Listen or walk out. And most of them stayed. Shelby leaned back. And now, Denzel exhaled slowly. I don't want to become a moment, he said. I want it to mean something. If people left that room thinking, maybe I should listen before I assume, then that's enough for me. Back at the convention center, the energy still hadn't returned to normal. Nobody was talking about tax policy. They were talking about him. And that 1 minute of stillness. What lingered wasn't the applause. It was what came after. During a short break, a few folks gathered near the coffee station. Different counties. Different politics. No yelling. No live streams. Just conversation. Jasper Thorne, a Marine vet and lifelong Trump supporter, leaned against a pillar. I'm a Trump guy, he said. Always have been. But the way that man carried himself, it hit me different. Even in the next panel discussion, the moment echoed. State Senator Colin Greer paused mid-topic. I wasn't going to bring this up, he said. But if we pretend that didn't happen earlier, we're lying to ourselves. He looked around the room. Denzel Washington showed up, said his truth, and did it without theatrics. You don't have to like him. You don't even have to like me. But I think courage still means something in politics. The applause that followed wasn't loud, but it was real. Honest. In a time when volume wins over value, Denzel had cut through by refusing to play the game. But he wasn't basking in it. He was back home in his district, walking through neighborhoods, meeting teachers, listening to small business owners. His team begged him to ride the wave, take the big interviews, chase the national spotlight. But he stayed local. Let them know I didn't turn into a headline, he said. I'm still a neighbor. It would have been easy to chase fame. But he understood the responsibility. Now, once you show people a different way to be heard, they start expecting better, from you and from everybody else. So, what do you think about all this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started. We're digging into the moments that matter. Not the ones they script, but the ones they try to ignore. God bless. And God bless America.